Well, good morning. Longhaultanker here. Straight razor shaving with Longhaultanker. And it's been a little while. It's been about 9-10 days since I've been able to put up a video, but just time has been a precious commodity of late. As you can see, I've got a fair amount of whiskers, approximately 4 days worth of whiskers. It's all jammed up time come relative to my new job, and I'll have more to say about that as we move along. So, but first, the equipment for this morning. And over the last several days, 2-3 weeks even, I've completed out the last 7-day roll-up of my new production razors. So I've got 3 roll-ups, each with 7 razors that are dedicated to new production razors. And so those are set aside. And then you'll remember from the spring and summer of this year, 24, that there was an acquisition period there of the mint conditioned vintage razors, like the Fritz Brock tennis razors. There was 2 of those, and the Berger Dovo vintage version, not the new production version, and the Javoso and the Swedish razor, MK32. The name fails me right at the very moment. And among those was this Dovo Waffen-Schmidt. And so there's the scale with Waffen-Schmidt in the blue ink there. It seems to wear fairly well. And then we've got the hollow ground for you. What's that say? Ready for use, number 300, Dovo Soligen, made in Germany, on the tang there, or the shank. Ready for use in gold wash. And this is a razor that was sent to me by a mutual acquaintance with several of us, and Matt Lukey 3262. And I gave him a sum of money for it. He sent it to me to try. I liked it, and I sent him an agreeable sum of money. And it's virtually in mint condition. The only thing that maybe there's well, you can't. There's a little spot there. And there on the toe and midway there, and maybe something over here. Just a little spot, nothing serious, but I put this razor in with the mint conditioned vintage set that I've got, along with the others that I've mentioned. And so that's the razor we're going to use for this morning, the Dovo, and it's honed to shave ready on a Japanese natural. By Matt. He was big into that a couple of years ago, and he's kind of laid some things down over the last year. This was purchased in August or September of last year, 23, from him. So that's that. The soap is a sample that was picked up some time ago, and it's just been floating around. I got 3 samples from Sterling, and I got this metal container and took the sticker from the plastic and put it on the lid here, as you see. And this is vanilla sandalwood. And it's just a little sample slice that I put in here. And it's had many uses over the last several years. And, it just got kind of lost in the mix in the back of my closet. So I'll set that there. Now, the brush. No stranger. It's the Sterling Soap Company bore, 31 millimeter knot. It's got a man-size handle grip on it, and just lovely. I think it's 51 millimeter loft on the, but in my last video, right toward the end of the video, I said very plainly, I sure hope they come out with this brush again this year for Black Friday and Christmas season and all. And no sooner had I said that, within a day or two, I got the email that said that they had released it and was available. And I turned around and sent that email to a number of you that watch me and I correspond with and speak with on regular occasion. And y'all thanked me for it. And I said, hurry up and get one. And which I hope you have. I haven't seen, I can't say that I've been derelict, but I have been woefully behind on watching videos due to, obviously, 4 days of whiskers says something too. But I can't say that well, let's just get into it a little bit, the job side of it. And I'm going to go through, for record's sake, my daughter said, you need to, she said, the way I keep up with you and Mama is I watch your videos, my daughter says, is I watch your videos and I know what's going on with you and your job situation. And so lost my job back right at the end of September with the former company. And, you know, I knew about my former manager, how he had gone elsewhere and had become a hiring manager, a terminal manager for another trucking company. And we got along very well. He was my manager he worked for the company. Come to find out, he went to work for the same company in January. We both went to work for the same company in 2012. He in January and me in September. So 13 years we both worked for the same company. Now, he was a driver for a while, then went into management, and he was promoted and bumped around to the different terminals to learn the organizational and business side of things. And then, I don't know, 24, 23, somewhere around 2019, 2020, he became the terminal manager of the Houston terminal. Okay, good. Now I'm doing a little pre-shave rub here. I've got an enormous amount of whiskers. I'm trying to get them good and saturated and hydrated and blah, blah, blah. And so this vanilla sandalwood smells just lovely. So the brush is out. Be sure to get one. I have no affiliation with Sterling, except just like the rest of us, I buy a lot of gear from them, a lot of soap, several brushes. Most of them are either, retired or have fallen. The Badgers have fallen to my B team, which I don't use that often. They're not what you would call in regular rotation. So anyway, that was, he was let go from the company back this January. I was let go in September. Within the first week of October, I called him. I said, I understand you're in a position to hire drivers. He said, yes, I am. And I said, well, I find myself curiously available to be hired by a new company. Yeah, we're joking about it. And using humorous language, he said, so I told him the story about what had happened. And he sent me an application to fill out. I got some nice soft music playing in the background. I'm in my master bathroom, as you can see. All right, I think we're about ready here. And so he sent me the application to fill out, and which I did, and sent it back to him as within a day or two, and didn't hear anything back from him for a while, and I didn't think too much about it, but 10 days or so went by. All right, here we go with the Waffen-Schmidt. And then he sent an email to me, and he said, how'd you like to come over and spend a couple of days practice? I had told him, he told me he's got these 10 speeds and 13 speeds, and I had not driven a manual transmission for 7 years. Now, I was trained on a 10-speed in 2006. Went to work 2012 with this present company, former company, driving automatics till 2017. Went to work for this other company for 2 months and then came back to my former company. And that's where I've been all the while since. On an automatic transmission. So I haven't driven a manual speed transmission for quite some time. And so he says, well, come on over. He sent me a text and he said, would you like to come over and drive on the stick for a couple of days and we'll bring you on. And I said, yeah, great, wonderful. And so the day came, the very morning, I had gotten up, got myself ready to go. He wanted me to be over there by about 9 o'clock on this certain morning. About 2 weeks after I sent in my application, and so, as I say, got myself up on the morning, designated morning, and no sooner than I was ready to walk out the door, he called me and said, yeah, let's put it off till Wednesday. So Monday to Wednesday, he did the same thing. On Wednesday to Tuesday of the following week. Tuesday of the following week got bumped to Thursday, and he said, yeah, come on down, get out of the house, and we'll have an interview and sit down chat. And what happened was that They were using the truck that they were going to put me in to do this driving to reacquaint myself with the 10-speed transmission. And I don't want to hear about it's like riding a bike and, you know, but my total time from 2006, my total time driving a manual transmission was about 14 months. And with all of those long spaces in between, it's not a comfortable thing just to jump back into the sea. Anyway, so he says on that, he says to me, come on that Thursday. So it's been now 2 weeks. He took 2 weeks to call me and say, come on down. Yes, we're going to hire you. Yes, you've got a job. We just need to reacquaint you with the 10-speed, or he thought it was the 13-speed. It wasn't until I actually got down there on that Thursday, a week later, and got to crawl through one of the trucks. I said, he said, this truck here, number 27, is a sister truck, duplicate model of the one that we planned for you. It was being loaned out for when the other trucks, a driver's truck broke down. They would give that driver number 26 as a temporary substitute truck. And it was never available for when they wanted it, when he wanted to get me down there to put me in it so I could take it for a couple of days and reacquaint myself with shifting and so forth. And so, I got down there. We had a long face-to-face, almost 4 hours together. And I've made mention of this already in in other recent videos. And so in the course of that face-to-face interview, I says to him, I suppose what we're doing is that we are moving along the path to full employment, that you're intending to hire me, et cetera, et cetera. And he said, yes. And so that made me feel good. But I still don't have any income yet. I'm not working yet as of that date, which now goes back takes us back to the middle. Well, I think early November. And so I'm thinking this is going to go faster than what it ended up going. And for a truck driver with hazmat, I know that it takes a while because they got to do all the background checks, get all the different, there's like 3 or 4 different reports, safety record, MVR, this one and that one, then all of the verifications of employment. I say all, there was only a couple with my work history. Razor's doing a fabulous job with that JNAT Edge. And of course, after about a week, I start calling and sending text messages because I hadn't heard from him, what's going on, and no reply, no reply, no reply. Finally, he replied and says, your application is in the hands of the HR people. I will let you know as soon as I know something, which is, yeah, okay, I get that. It's a nice, polite way of saying, don't call me, I'll call you. Okay, I get it. I've known this guy for 13 years. 3 years as my direct manager, and I know his work habits and style. And sometimes, yes, I don't know. I don't think that he watches my videos, but yes, sometimes he's slow in replying. But he's also busy. He's got a minimum of 14, 15 other drivers that report to him, and that's time consuming with other people like that. So eventually he texts me and he says, it was on a Thursday or Friday. He's got the application. They're processing the application. In the meantime, a couple of weeks go by, and I can't wait. My wife is worried. I'm worried. So I've got to consider other employment opportunities, other driving jobs. And so I send out a parcel, about 4, 5, 6 other applications to other trucking companies. Not that I really want to work for them, because I don't like the corporate mentality for a lot of these, and that's what they were, this corporate mentality. Which this company, as small as it is, with 15 drivers, and I'll tell you more about that as time goes on, about they're a not-for-hire private company and what that means. And I like the sound of that and what they do, and the products that they pull. But anyway, so since going up there to do that long 4-hour face-to-face interview, 2 weeks went by, and my wife and I are at home, fiddling our fingers, twiddling our thumbs, sending out other applications, and I get an offer. And so that would be, today's Sunday, and so that'd be about maybe 2.5 weeks ago. And so I got no choice. I've got to accept the offer, The good news is that their orientation process was via Microsoft Teams, which through the internet, you're on a Zoom-like call, internet call. And so I did all the work necessary, and there's safety videos and orientation videos and all the stuff you got to do for a company to get hireable. And so I do all that stuff. And so this other company was going to have me go to a training facility in San Antonio on this past Monday. And which is a week after it had been about 7 days after the election. November the 5th, that's a Tuesday. Then you come a week later, that's about the 12th. Today's the 17th. So this past Monday morning, they wanted me in San Antonio. And lo and behold, the day after the election on that Wednesday after the election, I get an offer letter for a driving job with my old boss, and I thought to myself, you rascal. Now, some of you are plenty smart to figure out that they were doing what a lot of companies were doing, and that is waiting to see which way the election was going to turn, which would dictate a lot about how the future of the country was going to run. Optimism, hiring, new jobs, or utter destruction between Satanists and Tampon Tim. Oh, you don't like that? Well, go to you know where. Because I've got some things to say about that too. So as soon as that offer letter came, the next morning by noon, I shot off a email resignation letter to my recruiting counselor for the first company, I should say the second company, the one I didn't want to go to, but the one I wanted to go to was dragging its feet. They finally got around to giving me something after the election, day after the election. And so now I got to unwind myself from the other company. And I just said, look, you weren't my first choice for employment. I was waiting on this other guy, and they've now come through. And so I'm going to pursue a different path and as opposed to coming to you. I'm not coming to you, I'm going to him. And of course, the letter back was just, thank you for your reply. Not even, well, if something happens, don't forget about it. No, nothing like that. Of course, I don't know. So, Monday and Tuesday, I spent those 2 days on the computer doing all of the orientation pre-hire stuff. I had to drive down there from my house to the terminal yard of the new job is approximately 70 miles in Baytown. And from right outside my door, in my house, at my house, in my neighborhood, there's a major street that goes from right outside my door, well, a couple of turns inside the neighborhood, get on a thoroughfare that drives straight to the freeway, toll road. And if you look at a map, you'll see the Grand Parkway, Texas 99, the tollway. And you stay on that eastbound, and it takes you right to Baytown, almost to the front door of the new job. The only problem is that it's a toll road, and it's $23 round trip from my house to work and back. $23 tolls every day. And I'm not drawing a paycheck yet, and I may have a job, but I haven't seen any money yet. Now, as you go eastbound out from my house on that Grand Parkway, Texas 99, you'll intersect with U.S. Highway 59, also known as the new route for Interstate 69. And you can take that south a few miles, and that'll intersect with a Highway 1960. And 1960 goes over to Dayton, Texas, pick up out of Dayton, Texas, pick up Texas Highway 146. That takes you southbound right down into Baytown in close proximity to my new job. Non-tolls, but it's an extra 15 to 20 miles. So what would be an hour and 15, 20 minute drive now becomes a 2-hour drive. Leave here. He was having me show up there at 9 o'clock. So I was getting up at 6 o'clock, have my cup of coffee, see a few minutes of news, and make my departure out the door at about 7 o'clock. By the time I got out of the neighborhood and up onto the Grand Parkway, it was about 7:10, 7:15. And I'd be getting to work 9 o'clock, 9:10, 9:15, depending upon traffic. And he didn't say anything about me being late or anything like that. Technically, I was. He said it didn't matter. I believed him. And so I spent Monday and Tuesday on the computer doing all the intaking HR stuff. And quite frankly, on Wednesday, I don't remember what I did. I don't remember. Kind of funny. But anyway, on Thursday and Friday, I was in the truck. Finally, on Thursday it was number 27. On Friday it was number 26. Both trucks drove. Both of them were old, at least they're 2015 models. And the number 27 had 850,000 miles on it, and number 26 had 655,000 miles on it. And dirty as if they had been driven in the oil field. All of those 10 years of life on the truck, all of those hundreds of thousands of miles. And my boss did tell me that they were purchased used, and so no telling where they've been, how they were driven. And I said, it's just too dirty. He said, well, and I requested a clean and sanitary mattress. And he said he would do that, but the rest of it was up to me. And I did some looking on the internet, and to hire a service that'll come and do the cab of a truck with a clean and sanitization process was $350 minimum that I saw. And they're not going to spend the money on that. And I to put that off on the driver. I don't understand how trucking companies, and I've heard stories, every truck since 2012 that I've gotten has been brand new. The seats are still wrapped in plastic, and the bunk is still wrapped in plastic. And I don't understand how the trucking companies can get away passing those trucks off from driver to driver in filthy conditions. There ought to be OSHA and city health regulations on that sort of thing, and there's not. So I spent the 2 days, Thursday and Friday, in the truck driving a bobtail, no trailer, and reacquainting myself with the shift pattern of the 10-speed. Let's see here. And everything went fine. It's like I didn't hit anything, I didn't kill anybody, but it wasn't pretty. And it's going to take time to reacquaint myself to get all of those shift patterns down really good. And I'm floating gears up and down. The necessity to use the clutch or double clutching don't need to do that. If you drop a gear, if you miss in your shifting, if you miss hitting your gear, you've got to be able to keep control of the truck and get it back into gear without having to stop the truck, pulling off to the shoulder of the road, stopping the truck. Now, as you might imagine would happen on occasion, people come to a new job with commitments that aren't far off in the distant future. And so I've got to take the 22nd of November off, which is this coming Friday. And I told him, I said, I've got to have it off. Personal business, it's essential. He said, that's not a problem. I'm hiring you with full knowledge that you've got to have that day off. So but there was another occasion that I've got to let go that was going to cost me some money, a little vacation thing that my wife and I had planned for Thanksgiving week. And it's kind of a family reunion sort of thing, but it's the kind of thing where you rent the family together rents a resort, and it costs each party, $300 or $400. And so she's going to go. I'm not. I'm going to work. All right, fine. Got a little coffee here. All right, so I'm going to say some things. Moving on from that, I said some things in the last video that were harsh, and I don't care. So you can take that for what it's worth. I got some negative comments about, you're a former pastor and how self-righteous and blah, 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 and BS similar. And I always find it interesting that those that are so quick to holler self-righteous are very often themselves self-righteous. So stop with the BS, okay? I've got 2 books in my library. I got over 2,000 theological books, historical standard books that have been used in seminaries forever. And one of them is Systematic Theology by Augustus Strong, written in 1853. And the other one is Stephen Carnack's The Existence and Attributes of God. I can tell you, and that was written in 1907, and I can tell you with absolute certainty, I'm not God. I possess no power. I'm not omnipotent. I'm not omniscient, or any other of the eternal qualities of the God of the Bible. And as those attributes are displayed and presented to mankind in his dealing with mankind throughout the pages and the stories of the Bible, that's how you learn about the characteristics and attributes of God, like his eternality. He is eternal. He's all loving. He's all knowing. He's all powerful. And so you learn those things in a study of the attributes and characteristics, and frankly, even to the dividing of what is an attribute and what is a characteristic, and are they different, and how are they different, and how do they interplay with each other? Okay, that's heady stuff, to be sure. All right. So, having had two of those kinds of classes in my educational academic career, I can tell you with absolute certainty, I am not God. Okay, let that sink in for a minute. I am not God. And I have full consciousness and self-awareness to know I am not God. Because I possess none of those qualities and characteristics that are aforementioned in both the scripture and those books that identify the God of the Bible. However, that said, certain pronouncements that a man can make I don't have any power to condemn anybody Now, the kinds of statements that I made in my last video, I cannot fulfill. And I'm fully knowledgeable of that fact. They are treated more in the form of a pejorative or a curse or a condemnation in that I wish it is. And this sort of thing is not without its parallel in the scripture, particularly in the Old Testament, where people like David and Solomon would pronounce their condemnation and prayer to God, destroy my enemies. And so such pronouncements, as I made in my last video, can be very similarly compared to those kinds of statements by people like David and Solomon in the Psalms as pejoratives and condemnations. Destroy my enemy, curse my enemy, destroy them, make me the victor, make them the fallen. Now, somebody wants to pronounce self-righteousness on such pronouncements as that, then, go to school and get a theology degree, okay? I don't care how old you are. I don't care how smart you think you are. And I've also found out, too, that when people in the Christian realm start screaming at each other, it's because some ox has been gored. And so I don't know what ox was gored there. I do know that in my own experience in pastoral work is that when you say harsh things, the people that start screaming at you are the ones that were the most offended. And it's often because they are weak in knowledge and scripture of weak in knowledge of the scripture. And you try to explain things to them and they don't want to hear it, and you're public enemy number one, and they're going to destroy you, which I've been through that process. That's why I drive a truck. And I will say further that the modern church is about as weak as water, and they stand for absolutely nothing. That is to say, in opposition to the modern evils of the day. As Isaiah said, the people love to call evil good and good evil, and that's exactly the kind of age that we live in today. And as this age becomes documented historically through the decades and centuries to come, it'll be noted as a most devilish and dark age for the Christian church, because they were captivated by many of the same kinds of forces that our country itself is captivated by, and that's these evil, woke, communist. Look what communist China did during the Cultural Revolution. Kill the parents, kill the culture, kill religion, make it unrecognizable. And how is that any different than what we're going through today from the 50s until this day? And even before, but I mark that expanse of time as being a very clear destroy the home, break the connection between parent and child with revolutionary ideas. And you've got parents, you've got kids then, these know-it-all woke, 20-somethings willingly shooting their parents in the head. Now tell me that didn't happen. You know as well as I do that it did happen. And they got there because they rejected everything traditional. Well, that's what we're doing and have been doing for a long time, is rejecting everything traditional. Marriage is between a natural-born man and a natural-born woman, and to even have to say that is a disgusting shame. And seeing what these idiots, there's a big case here in Texas, it has been over the last couple of years, about a divorce between a man, a husband, and a wife over the issue of the mama wants to recognize the child's transition. I don't know which one, male, female, whatever, don't matter. The mama wants to recognize the transition, the daddy doesn't. And so he does things like kidnaps the child to protect it. He gets caught, gets prosecuted, and it's a no-win for him. There was no way for him to legally protect his child. Every road he took led to mama's custody of the child and the endorsement of his transitioning. What do? You're a man, you're a father, you're a head of the house, you believe in those traditional customs and morals that we've all grown up on, and the courts are completely captured and captivated, and even to say that no men and women's sports becomes controversial. Of course you don't want men in women's sports and going into women's locker rooms and restrooms. How absurd is that? And so, but to voice objection to that, and then to get blowback from people calling you self-righteous when you voice such objections. I don't care that you object to what I say and how I say it. The real objection is you that would tolerate such crap. And meanwhile, back to the shave. And the only reason I'm not a pastor or a minister in the church today is precisely because of people like you that I'm describing, who voice objection to righteousness. And isn't it interesting that anytime you start promoting exactly what the Bible says, that you're self-righteous? Well, the words of the scripture are righteousness themselves. And so to promote righteousness is not self-righteous, it's just righteous. Come on, people, use your heads. But I find that a lot of these people are captives to something. Whether, oh, for heaven's sake, Martin Luther, John Calvin, dare I say, Zionism and Schofieldism and dispensationalism. All of these things that present themselves as competition to plain teaching of the scripture. Now I'm not going to go into a lot of dispute over those things. But I know I hit some gourds on that one. And so the modern troubles of the day are things like wokeism, communism, rainbow mafia, etc. Whereas in maybe decades past, it's more of the former things that I made passing reference to. But oh, and another one I'll throw in on that list that I just made up is papacy. So I do want to say greetings or send my salutations to my usual group that I like to comment on, and that's Bill M. and Lukey3262 and Martin Shave Tests, Dapper Shaves, Jock in South Africa, and Sean Staplefeld in Puerto Rico, Eric the Cajun Blade, and Greg Gallant, and Sean, the other Sean. I will tell you that I have not been able to watch I got a 2-hour drive to work in the morning, a 2-hour drive to work back in the afternoon. I tell my wife when I get on the phone with her on the drive back, I said, I'm going to come home. I'm going to take a shower, maybe shave, eat dinner, and go to bed. I'm just tired. It's that long drive. I'm a truck driver too, so long drives aren't supposed to bother me, but I'm paying for the gasoline. I've never put so many miles on my own personal vehicle and paid for so much gasoline as I have just in the last week. It's never driven like that. But the way I'm looking at it, it's all part of getting the job. And so these things will change soon enough. I'm just glad to have a job, be back in the direct. Oh, the rest of it. So Monday, we're still practice driving the truck and learning the shift pattern, but he's going to put an empty trailer on me to get comfortable with the weight and the shifting, pulling an empty trailer. And then Tuesday, he said, it's either going to be Monday afternoon or Tuesday, put a loaded trailer on me. He said, we always got loaded trailers hanging around, so I can put a loaded trailer on you. I said, that's great if you want to. I'll take all the practice that I can get. And that's not to insult my own past experience, but admittedly, I've not had a lot of experience on manual transmission. I'm still choking out at least once or twice a day on the clutch. Anyway. Now, tell me that the cabinet that Donald Trump, president-elect, is putting together, by the way, who did you vote for? And that might say something about who's saying what about whom as well. So I find it interesting after all of these comments about he's a Nazi and he's a fascist and he's going to be a dictator on day one, all these kinds of comments that they bemoan. So now the election is over. They want to say, unity. Oh, let's just have unity. Yeah, no, I don't think so. I'm more along the lines of Steve Bannon on that, and investigations and treason and conspiracy and all of these things that the end of which, if taken to their ultimate conclusion, is capital punishment, death by hanging for treason and sedition. I'm okay with that. I am really okay with that. We, as a divided country, we have been a divided country for far too long over things that should have been, like Barney Fife would say, nip it in the bud. Nip it in the bud. So they've been allowed to flourish like weeds in a field and just dominate and take over. Now, nip it in the bud, well, we're long past that. And so that's why it's going to take a conflagration to say that fast. And it's got to be burned out. It's got to be burned out so that it never comes back. Now let that sink in. How does that happen? And that might involve your children. That might involve your parents. That might involve your aunts and uncles and relatives and people that you know who were screaming Hitler and fascism. And Trump didn't just win, it was a mandate. And all of these talking heads trying to figure out why they lost, it's precisely because of the BS that they were spewing that they lost. Here, suck on that. Not ashamed to say it. Not ashamed to say it one bit, because it's time for a house cleaning. It's been time for a house cleaning for a very long time. All right, so Dovo number 300. It's got one of those slight shoulders honed on the J-nap by Matt Lukey 3262. Just a delightful razor. It just felt sharp. It feels clean. Took 4 days of growth off like nothing. And so we'll set that aside for now. Let me wash my face. So yesterday we did a bunch of little honeydews and things that had to be done around the house. I gave myself a haircut and shower yesterday, and a little bit tired late in the afternoon. And I said I'd do my shave in the morning, this morning, to my wife. And here we are with that. But one of the things that I do regularly, twice a year, I put white vinegar, 8 ounces of white vinegar into the air conditioner drainage to clean out any mold or anything that grown up in the last 6 months. And that cleans it out so it doesn't back up and into the drip pan and overflow and ruin your sheetrock out of the attic. The other thing I do, every year or two, I'm always checking. Anytime I'm in the attic, I'm always checking the master air filter on the AC. And so I did that yesterday. And last time I changed it was about 6 months ago, and I usually do it in the summer. And when I looked at it yesterday, it was gray, and indicating to me that it's almost time to change it. But it's got another 6 months of life left on the filter. And then the big thing that I did yesterday, and it's been a couple years. You're supposed to do this every year, and I have done it once. We've lived in the house now 6 years, and I've done it at least once before. So I think the first time was at 3 years. I think it's been 2 years since that mark, maybe 3, I don't know. But flush the water heater You got to flush the water. All those particulates that float around my right shoulder bothers me sometimes. And so holding it up like this is a bit of a bother. So I showed my wife, I can take my left hand and bring it to the lower part of my right shoulder back in here, below my armpit. But with my right arm, my right shoulder, my right hand coming underneath, I can't. That's about it right there. And that hurts like fire. That just hurts like somebody's about ready to pull my shoulder out. And so I may have to do something about that one day. My back is feeling better, my right hip, I should say, is feeling better. And it's got a lot of rest since I've been down here for these last 6 weeks, 8 weeks. All right, we got the head shave to go, and we're going to use the Dovo Colonel Conch on that, and nothing on the back of the tang. On the front, it just says Dovo Solagen with the Dovo logo, and then this used to be a problem child, and I think I've finally gotten down to some good steel on it. The last several head shaves have been fine, and I've relegated this razor to a head shaver. And it feels pretty good. It's cutting hair. And so the new cabinet that the president's putting together, I think is going to be fantastic. It's the kind of cabinet that you need if you're planning on lighting a fire to the house and killing the rats inside. And Matt Gaetz, Attorney General, absolutely. Tom Homan as border czar, absolutely. And so anybody that would, oh no, we need a kinder and gentler, okay, no, you're the ones that are screaming self-righteous, and you're the ones who are promoting every form of falsehood. To be an American doesn't mean you get to believe just anything you want to. It means you must believe the Constitution and the Bill of Rights and the Declaration. And every time you liberals have opened your mouths over the last 50 years and come up with this, that, or the other, it has been in violation to those very documents, not to mention, dare I say, the beloved King James Version of the Bible. and you want to promote every form of filthiness that there is in philosophical realm, and communism, communism is not a legitimate form of government. It is the worst form. It's gangsterism at its worst. Now, you don't like that, let me stand you up against a wall and execute judgment, and we'll see if you like that better. No, it will not stand. Communism in America will not stand. And you want to know why Donald Trump was elected? That's it. We have spoken, the people of America. The American people have spoken and said, we're tired of your BS and we're tired of you spewing it. So I can't help but think that somebody would go around saying, you're self-righteous. What you say is your worst example or worst demonstration of, I can't sit quiet any longer and let you say what you're saying. I must speak up. Really? I'm the one that's outraging you to make you want to stand up? You got to be full of SH you know what. How about Hillary Clinton? Does she outrage you? Did Kamala Harris outrage you? Did Joe Biden outrage you? Did Barack Obama outrage you? And I've got a funny feeling that they don't so much. I think I'm going to let some of that go. It's always hard to see right after you've done a head shave within the first 24 hours to see where the line should go from my eyesight and I think we're going to see a golden age of humanity come out of the Donald Trump second term administration, unlike anything we have ever seen. I think everything has been a build-up. Everything has been a setup to where we're going very quickly. We'll see. That's all I got to say. All right, now I got to do a little something over here. get right up on top of the mirror to see. Well, I suspect that when I get back in the truck and start pulling loads for real, the talk is right now, between me and my boss, is that this week is going to be spent in a little more training to get through my Friday the 22nd personal appointment that I've got to take care of. And then there's a loading and going to Nebraska on Monday the 25th. Delivers on Wednesday, I think it is. And if they got the details worked out on it, for example, one of the things that they wanted was the driver to unload the trailer using a hand nozzle, unloading into totes. And I've never seen any over-the-road trucking chemical tanker do that sort of thing. And so I think I might have nicked myself back there. No, I felt the razor hit on the back of my head. Nope, no blood. Well, I'm glad about that. I didn't want to have to nurse that all day. No, I've got no problem pronouncing a pejorative or condemnation on an enemy. None whatsoever. I also know that I've got to work to make it come true, which means taking matters into my own hands, or legally or legislatively taking steps to make those things illegal that make them punishable by execution. It's the only way that happens legitimately. You just can't go, shoot your neighbor because you don't like him, even though you may not. And not every idea, every form and system of government is legitimate. Sure seems like we were in a big hurry to go take out to take out Napoleon and Hitler. America didn't get involved in the war to take out Napoleon, but there's a lot of, who did we get our help from in the Revolutionary War? And I'm not sure about all that took place in the War of 1812, but that was right at the time that Napoleon was making his big moves. I've read historians that have said that the War of 1812 was nothing more than an extension of the British war against Napoleon, drawing resources away from Napoleon to do whatever, or maybe the other way around, drawing resources away from England that would not be expended on Napoleon. Anyway, but certainly World War II, interesting set of circumstances there. What was the great stab in the back that he talked about? That's something that's interesting me, and I'm spending some time. What was the great stab in the back from 1919 to early 20s? The great stab in the back. And so that explains a lot, and it's got to be explained. Was he just a madman? Or were there provocations and justifications for some of the things that have not been fully accounted for or recognized? Sometimes people like to ignore what are otherwise legitimate provocations for a certain party, and would certainly assume for themselves if such and similar provocations were exercised against them. Well, you can't do that. You're provoking me. Well, yeah, I am. And just what was that Balfour Declaration all about? That was added to, even before, but added to the Treaty of Versailles. And so, a lot of things there to consider, which leads up to the whole, I'm not going to go into all of that right now. All right. Okay, let's Uphold the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And we're certainly quick to uphold and go after the foreign enemies, but we don't think too much about the domestic enemies to the Constitution. And freedom of speech, I say yes to freedom of speech generally, but Ann Coulter said many years ago that the Constitution is not a suicide compact. And to say, that's why and it was John Adams that pursued the Sedition Acts. And so there is such thing as sedition. Free speech is not just open free speech. It has to be speech that's consistent with the principles of the Constitution. Now, you want to go be a communist? Go be a communist. We'll send you to Cuba and see how you like that. I don't think I put any on my head. I think I missed my head and my neck, but it don't matter. It don't matter. I'm going to use some Thayer's lavender. Just lovely. The face just feels just as smooth as can be. And the head is okay. Probably wouldn't hurt to do some more with that Colonel Conch Dovo on a stone. And then we'll use the Whiskey Woods Clubman Pinard Reserve. Very nice. All right, that's it. Thank you for joining me on this Sunday morning. And I'll see you down the road. I'm not sure when. And all you guys, I'm thinking about you. I miss watching your videos. But this last week was just horrendous on hours. It takes a lot out of an old guy. Anyway, I'll see you down the road. Thanks. Bye.